What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, and I'm back at y'all with another one. So, Teofimo Lopez drops some interesting information. Former unified lightweight and reigning WBO junior welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who has 22 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 13 wins by way of knockout, is going into, I don't want to say the biggest fight of his career, but another big fight in his career. For his opponent, it's the biggest fight for his career, and that's Olympic silver medalist, undefeated 3-division champion, former unified super featherweight, reigning WBC lightweight world champion, superstar boxer, Shakur Stevenson, who is 24 wins, no losses, no draw, 11 wins by way of knockout. This is the biggest fight of Shakur Stevenson's career at 27, 28 years of age. For Teofimo Lopez, he already fought a top 5 pound for pound best fighter in the world, maybe top 3 at the time, and former unified lightweight 3-division world champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, highly decorated first ballot Hall of Famer, Vasil High-Tech Lomachenko. And he fought former undisputed junior welterweight, undefeated top 10 pound for pound best fighter in the world, Josh Taylor, British superstar boxer, who is going to be a Hall of Famer as well. And he fought both of them in their prime. And he beat both of them handily. So Teofimo Lopez, I can't say this is the biggest fight of his career, but for Shakur, this is definitely the biggest fight in his career. With that said, they're going to fight January 31st at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. And Teofimo Lopez drops some interesting bombshell where he states they have no sponsors for this fight. He says no sponsors for this fight is wow and interesting. Well, a few things. For one, with Teofimo Lopez and the statements he's made in the past, monkey statements towards black people in the black community, the N-word, nobody wants to back you for that. Nobody's going to put their name on, people don't want to attach their brand and their name to stuff like that. They just don't. So that's number one. Number two, even bigger, because if you're big enough and you are polarizing enough, people will risk attaching their brand to you. But another thing is where the state of the sport of boxing is. We get in the fights we want to see now, and it's becoming more and more interesting. This year seems to be very, very bright on fights we're going to get. But the sport of boxing in itself is no longer a mainstream sport. It's no longer no networks want to deal with boxing because of the politics, because of not making the best fight the best. It's the Wild Wild West. There's no consistency. There's no order. There's no structure. Nobody wants to attach their name and their brand to it. They just don't. They don't want to attach their name and their brand to it. They don't want nothing to do with boxing. HBO got out of the business of sport of boxing. Showtime got out the business of the sport of boxing. ESPN is the worldwide leader in sports. That is all ESPN does, is cover sports. That's all they do, is cover sports. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. ESPN has gotten out the business of the sport of boxing. That's all they cover is sports. ESPN is like, man, we done with boxing. They got out the business of the sport of boxing. The only time you ever see ESPN make mention of any sport, make mention of the sport of boxing, is when it's an absolutely polarizing fight. That's it. That's all. When you got a groundbreaking fight, ESPN will be involved. Outside of that, they don't want nothing to do with boxing. We had boxing yesterday. ESPN ain't cover it. Matter of fact, ESPN probably don't even know we had a boxing match going on yesterday. Most people didn't even know we had boxing yesterday. One of the most young, promising fighters fought last night, Diego Pacheco. Edwin Del Santos made his ring return. ESPN ain't covering that. They have no interest. They could care less. So, the only network that's even involved with boxing right now is YouTube. As I told you guys, when people love to say, oh, mainstream media for boxing, I am Fight Hype, Fight Hub, even people I don't agree with, right? IFL TV, we are mainstream media for boxing. There is no mainstream media, quote unquote, for boxing. We are that. If myself, 7-8 and Dante Boxing Nation and BFT and everybody decide whether channels I don't like, even Fanon or KO and Fight Hype and Fight Hub and ES News, Ellie Setback and everybody decided to get out the business of the sport of boxing. If we all just stopped at once, if we all came together and just said, we ain't gonna talk about boxing no more, nobody would get any boxing news. Whether it's truth, whether it's not true, whatever it is, nobody would know about these fighters. That's a fact. If every last one of us just decided today, you know what? Ain't we all gonna band together and not near one of us gonna talk about boxing anymore? Nobody would get no boxing information. Not a single soul would know what's going on with boxing. Not a single soul would know what's going on in boxing. Nobody. Because, again, like I said, we are mainstream media for boxing, whether they want to admit it or not. And we should be compensated for it. Truth be told. So therefore, when Teofimo Lopez says there's no sponsors for a big fight like this, I'm not surprised. And I know he's saying it from a place of, wow, can you believe this? Right? He's not surprised either. He's just trying to make a statement. It's nasty work. Nobody cares about boxing. This is why the boxers need to tap in with any and everybody. Like Floyd said, whether you hate me, like me, whatever, you keeping me relevant. They need to tap in. That's a fact. But let me know what y'all think, man. So there's no sponsors touching this fight right now, as of right now. I think as it get closer to the fight, sponsors will start pouring in more. I don't know about pouring in, but people will be more interested in it. Before you used to have Budweiser, you used to have Corona. You don't see none of that no more. When Floyd fought, Iron Man 2 was coming out. They had Iron Man 2 all over the ring. Corona and Tecate. You don't see none of that no more. You don't see none of that no more. So everybody that's complaining about His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh and Jake Paul and things of that nature, you need to be happy they keeping the sport relevant. Everybody, let me say this too. As hard as it may be for some people, everybody needs to give Eddie Hearn, Matchroom CEO, his credit. If Eddie Hearn didn't introduce the zone, remember everybody's making fun of the zone? If Eddie Hearn didn't introduce the zone to boxing, boxing would be completely dead. No network. And that's all I got for y'all. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. I'm gone. Peace.